I'd like to call to order a special meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for Wednesday, January 28th at 7:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Safaya.
Present.
Mr. Perry is absent. Mr. Watts.
Present.
Mr. Clift.
Good evening, present.
Mr. Lindsay.
Present.
Mr. Assessor.
Present.
Mr. Green.
Present.
Mr. Jersey's present. Chairman Ostovich.
Present.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mr. Perry.
So moved.
Okay, that takes us to adoption of the agenda.
No,
All right.
excuse Mr. Perry.
Oh, that's right. Oh, who's the support?
Bill.
Bill.
Mr. Clift.
Okay, so we had a motion by Mr. Jersey, support by Mr. Clift to excuse Mr. Perry. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? His absence is excused. Takes us to adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Green, support by Mr. Jersey to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Next was approval of the minutes of January 14th. I don't remember seeing those.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to postpone approval of the minutes for our regular meeting of January 14th, 2026, due to the fact that they have not yet been published or reviewed.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Cliff, support by, I heard Mr. Assessor, to postpone the minutes of January 14th to the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the minutes are postponed. Takes us to item number 6.
Item 6, applicant Baker and Associates Realty Group LLC, Representative Fay Baker, common description 7567 Packard. Variance requested permission to construct a single-family residence with a porch up to 5 feet into the front setback.
Hello, Ms. Baker. So if you can start by stating your name and address for the record before your presentation, and we're just doing one presentation for all of it, or are we doing separate?
I would say probably a presentation for the first, probably break it down into the 4 items because they're all, so I guess, present the, I guess I'll read items 6 and 7 before you present that aspect of it. So item 7 is also a public hearing. Applicant Baker and Associates Realty Group LLC, Representative Fay Baker, common description 7575 Packard. Variance requested permission to construct a single-family residence with a porch up to 5 feet into the front setback.
There's a button right on the front there. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Fay Baker, Baker and Associates Realty Group, address 8086 14 Mile Road, Warren, Michigan.
Okay, and explain your request to us today.
So for the parcels that he just read off, it's for me to have an additional 5 feet. We have a porch that's on the property. Originally, our setbacks did not include the porch, so we're a little short. So I'm just coming in to ask that that you guys allow 5 feet for us to have a porch on the front of the home.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wanting to speak on this item? Not seeing any, I'll close the public portion and turn it over to the board for discussions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Watts.
this is really more of a point of order. On January the 15th, we received our packet by email. Last Wednesday at our special meeting, we received our hard copy in person. And last night, at about 5 or 6 o'clock, we received an email with the impact statement. Now, we've discussed this before, and I'm not sure why we're getting these so late. This is very disrespectful to this board. Thankfully, it's a pretty simple impact statement, but this is ridiculous. Now, if it wasn't what it was and wasn't simple, I'd be making a motion to postpone. But I really think that we need to get these in a timely manner so that we can digest all the information. And I certainly didn't want to hold up Ms. Baker with hers, but, you know, planning needs to get with the program, so, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watts.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Green?
quick question, Ms. Baker. I just want to have you help me establish something here. In your backup, you have the development contributes to increased homeownership opportunities in the area. And obviously, you think there are increased homeownership opportunities based on your project, that there are, in fact, opportunities for people to buy homes and the need for people to buy homeownership.
Mhm.
Okay? And it fosters neighborhood stability and growth. I just wanted to go on record and make a point that there is a need for homeownership in that area.
Yes, and we have 3 up now. 2 of them are sold. We expect another offer on the 3rd one by the end of the week. So people are wanting to put down roots in Warren, particularly South Warren. They love the homes. They're I don't know if you guys had a chance to see them or not. We did have an open house today. The homes look amazing. When they come in, they're ready to put in their offer and start being homeowners in the city of Warren. So it's pretty amazing.
I agree. I just want you to help me make a point, and you did. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, real
Yes,
quick.
Mr. Jersey?
Before we get too far, I just want to read the impact statement that Mr. Watts referenced from the planning department. Per Ron Worth, after review of the request, agenda items 6 through 25, no issues were found to impact the budding local or general public. On February 21st, 2025, the petitioner received administrative approval for the planning department for the petition to reestablish the plat lines for 2 parcels along Peters Avenue located between Hupp and Packard Avenues, creating 20 new parcels for the purpose of developing single-family residential dwellings. This petition was approved with the condition that the 10 feet wide public easements stay intact. Reviews of this petition yielded approval, no objections from the engineering division, the fire department, building division, DT, Comcast, and AT&T. Now yield the floor.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Watts?
So, I've driven by there a couple times, only because it's got my interest. And they're looking good.
Thank you.
And I did see your post today about the open house. Very, very nice on the inside. So I commend you for taking this project on. The only other question I got is, and by the way, it's a positive because it's a buy and not a rental. So
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
How did we miss the porches on the original variances?
So the civil engineer didn't properly label the site plan. So he had a porch there, and it was thought to be a landing. And when we got in the field, we were like, okay, you have to have a step. And so in order to build a step, we had to put a porch. In order to put a porch, we had to make it, compliant. And so when we did that, we were over the setback.
Okay, well, we gotta have a porch.
Gotta have a
So-
porch.
Okay, all right, Mr. Watchpoint, do you have something?
She said it very well. When the first plans came in, basically, we didn't have renderings of the houses and everything when it first started. It was a whole project. And they had the setbacks, and that's where the houses went. And if the porch was, not the porch, it was a platform was there and not a porch with steps,
Okay.
it would have been fine. So the fact that it's raised and you got steps to get down, that's included in the setback area.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. I yield.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Safire?
I just have one question. I have no problem with granting the variance tonight. Just on the survey, I'm confused. The 2 addresses on item 1 and 2 is 7567 Packard and 7575. I don't see the addresses on the survey. I was just curious what parcel numbers on Packard Street we're talking about now.
Ending in 33 and 34.
33 and 34. Okay, thank you.
It should be in the Excel spreadsheet. That should be one of the first.
Well,
ones
I see that, but I'm looking at the
Okay.
survey, and the parcel numbers aren't listed. It's just parcel 11 through, 1 through 20. I didn't know how that,
I'm trying to get to that. I can't read it, it's too small.
okay. I was just curious which one's on the, which two lots we're talking about, but nonetheless, I have no problems with it.
Thank you, Mr. Safaya. Any other questions or discussion on these items or any motions?
Mr. Chair, if nobody else has anything else additional to say, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to grant the petitioner's request to construct a single-family residence with a porch of up to 5 feet into the front setback on 7567 Packard and 7575 Packard due to the fact of the size and shape of the lot, and it's not a detriment to the area.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Jersey, supported by Mr. Cliff, to approve the request for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Jersey votes yes for the reasons stated in the motion. Mr. Cliff?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Green?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Lindsay?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Assessor?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Safaya?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Watts?
Yes, for the reasons stated in motion.
And Chairman Estovich?
Yes, for reasons stated in the motion. The requests for the homes that are part of summary 1, items 1 and 2 there are approved, which takes us to the next group.
Takes us to items 3 and 4. Applicant Baker and Associates Realty Group LLC, Representative Fay Baker. Common description for item 3 is 7568 Hupp, and item number 4 is 7576 Hupp. Both properties are looking for variances, requested permission to construct a single-family residence, 1 within a 27-foot rear setback, 2 with 37% lot coverage, 3 with a porch up to 5 feet into the front setback.
So, Ms. Baker, if you could just start again with your name, address, and then the request for these 2 parcels.
Yes, Fay Baker, Baker and Associates, address 8086 14 Mile Road, Warren, Michigan, 48093. So for these, we're asking that, so these lots are a little smaller on Hupp. On Packard, they're 109, on Hupp, they're 106.8. And so if we were to try and build the same model that we have, it would not, we would need a little more coverage on the lots. Otherwise, we'd have to try and find a different model, which could be, very time-consuming. So we're asking for a little more coverage on the lot, and also allowing for us to have a porch on there as well that would extend about, 5 feet.
Okay. Thank you very much for that explanation. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on these 2 items? Not seeing any, close the public portion and turn it over to the board for discussion, questions, and so I just have a quick question. So basically, because I know that the only thing that, because when we approved this previously, it had a 30-foot setback. Now it's a 27-foot setback, rear setback, I mean, and so we increased the lot coverage by 2%. That's mainly based on the added porch and the fact that that model.
It has a low bump out, like a 2-foot bump out.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Cliff?
if nobody else has any comment on the item, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make the motion to grant permission to construct a single-family residence, 1 with a 27-foot rear setback, 2 with a 37% lot coverage, and 3 with a porch up to 5 feet from the front setback, not a detriment to the area.
Support.
I have a motion by Mr. Cliff, support by Mr. Safaya, to approve the request for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Cliff?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Safaya?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Watts?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Green?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Lindsay?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Assessor?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Jersey votes yes for the reasons stated in the motion. Chairman Estovich.
Yes, for reasons stated in motion. That the request for those lots is approved.
Thanks.
Takes us to the next grouping.
Takes us to items 5 through 12 on this sheet. So applicant Baker and Associates Realty Group LLC, Representative Fay Baker. Common description for the said properties would be 7504 Hupp, 7512 Hupp, 7520 Hupp, 7528 Hupp, 7536 Hupp, 7544 Hupp, 7552 Hupp, and 7560 Hupp. Variances requested on those properties: permission to construct a single-family residence, 1 with a 27-foot rear setback, 2 with 37% lot coverage, 3 with a porch up to 5 feet into the front setback.
Okay, so Ms. Baker, if you want to state again your name, address, and then the reasons behind this grouping of homes.
Yep. Fay Baker, Baker and Associates, 8086 14 Mile Road, Warren, Michigan, 48093. So we're asking for these setbacks, again, for the same reasons. We want to make these homes appealing to homeowners. I didn't ask for a huge variance in the yards because I want to have some yard space. I think it makes the neighborhood looks really nice. So we wanted to have a house that actually functions well for the modern buyer, which will allow us to have a open floor plan and have 2 full bathrooms, have an attached garage. And in order to do all those things, we just need a little bit more space on the lots. So I'm asking for a variance so that we can achieve that.
Thank you for that explanation. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Not seeing any, I'll close the public portion and turn it over to board for questions and discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Clift.
it appears most of this is pretty straightforward. If nobody else has anything to say, I'd like to put forward a motion on the items. I'd like to grant permission to construct a single-family residence, 1 with a 27-foot rear setback, 2 with a 30% lot coverage, 3 with a porch up to 5 feet into the front setback. Not a detriment to the area, complementary to the size and shape of the lot.
I think, point of order,
Support.
I just wanted to, I think you said 30% and not 37?
I'll restate item number 2 in my motion to clarify with 37% lot coverage.
And the support was?
Support.
For Mr. We have a motion by Mr. Cliff, support by Mr. Sofia to approve the request for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Clift?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Sofia?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Watts?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Lindsay?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Green?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Assessor?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Jersey votes yes for the reasons stated in the motion. Chairman Estovich.
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion, the request for that grouping of homes is approved.
Thank you.
And take us to the last grouping for items 13 through 20.
Takes us to items 13 through 20. Applicant Baker and Associates Realty Group LLC, Representative Fay Baker. Variances requested: permission to construct a single-family residence with a porch up to 5 feet into the front setback on the following properties: 7503 Packard, 7511 Packard, 7519 Packard, 7527 Packard, 7535 Packard, 7543 Packard, 7551 Packard, and 7559 Packard.
So, Ms. Baker, if you just wanted to go through the same explanation,
Sure.
perhaps?
Fay Baker, Baker and Associates, 8086 14 Mile Road, Warren, Michigan, 48093. Same thing here. We needed a little more room to allow for the porch. And we're approaching the setback a little bit. So we just need to have a landing so that when people walk up to the door, they can actually stand on a landing and open their door. So that's what we need this variance for.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. This is a public hearing. Is there any members of the audience wishing to speak on this item? Not seeing any, or close the public portion and turn it over to the board for questions and discussion.
Mr. Chair, I think I read that motion wrong into the record. Steve, could you approach real quick? I know on items 13 through 20, it said construct a single-family residence with a 5-foot porch, but when I'm looking at the agenda itself, it's got 3 different variances. So it's got the one with the 30-foot rear setback, 2 without staggering front building line, 2 feet from adjacent lots, 3 with 35% lot coverage. So would I need to, I'm guessing I would need to reread that.
It's.
'Cause it doesn't even
Those
really-
were approved.
They were approved.
This is only the ones on Packard, which is actually agenda items 18
I gotcha.
through
Okay.
24.
Gotcha.
So you read it correct.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion or any motions from the board?
Mr. Chair, since I did actually read it right, I'll make a motion. So I'll grant the permission to construct a single-family residence with a porch up to 5 feet into the front setback on the previously listed, previously mentioned properties due to the fact, size, and shape of the lot is not a detriment to the area.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Jersey, support by Mr. Cliff, to approve the request for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Jersey votes yes for the reasons stated in the motion. Mr. Cliff?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Green?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Lindsay?
Yes for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Assessor?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Safaya?
Yes, for the reasons stated in the motion.
Mr. Watts?
Yes, for the reasons stated in motion.
And Chairman Nestovich?
Yes, for reasons stated in the motion. So, Ms. Baker, all your requests today have been approved.
Thank you so much.
Good luck building the rest of the homes, and we're looking forward to seeing them go up in that area.
Absolutely. Let me know if you guys want to take a tour. I'll be happy to show them to you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mhm. Okay, so that takes us to item number 26, new business, and I do think we do need to discuss, or I wanted to give us all a chance to just maybe share some of our opinions of the special meeting, because a number of emails have gone around, and I just thought it might be good for,
Mr. Chair, I'd like
Or
to
not.
lead off by just saying, I kind of expressed a little bit of the same stuff that my colleagues had mentioned regarding, we thought we were going to be talking about, ordinance changes and things of that nature. But we just didn't, it didn't materialize that way. So what I think we should do is, as a board, it's just my opinion, I'd welcome anybody else's opinions on this matter as well. I think it was great that we all showed up. First and foremost, I want to thank every member for taking time out of their busy lives to make that special meeting and make it happen. Secondly, I think, as a referee, we kind of have like a 24-hour rule, like a cooling down period before we start making decisions on things. And I think that collectively, we should enter into kind of what parameters we'd like to see with that project, and then take a vote on that maybe next meeting in February and send that to council. Nothing's going to be guaranteed that that it's going to be approved what we suggest, but I think suggesting nothing is not an option. So I think that we should try to, I believe that this project does need some guardrails, what they are. I have some ideas of my own, but I would like to hear everybody else's opinions, maybe during that meeting, or even if you have them now, or express them, however you want to. But I think that we need to address it and then send our recommendations for the project over to council and hopefully see where it takes us.
And I wanted to actually share one point.
I'm sorry, when you refer to the project, are you talking about the overlay?
The hidden
district?
overlay, yeah, the
Okay,
hidden
okay.
middle overlay district,
Got
yes,
it.
sorry about that,
No,
Ms.
you're
Pierce.
fine.
But I'll yield
You
the
know,
floor, go ahead.
If I could just add in my opinion here, it was basically, I was, like everybody else, I was very surprised to see that a private developer was proposing, what kind of ordinance changes we should see in our city where, if anything, any kind of those changes, see, I take a look at the ones we just approved tonight. With the,
Need one more.
we need one more?
Here, I don't need one.
We just approved some, variances tonight. Would these changes all be covered by the same kind of thing? Or, because we should come up with one set of what is the variance for that kind of area, not just geared to one developer, but that this development should fall under others that people want to do. There shouldn't be a difference. And I worry that we're not hearing from what's best for the city as opposed to what's best for our developer. And the developer's always going to talk about what's best for them. They bring up other examples that make their requests look good. But so I felt that we were going into it not with a good explanation, because again, I also thought it would be a chance for planning and zoning to have a discussion, and we really never had any discussion whatsoever. So, and I still think that'd be a good thing for us to have. So we could talk about things like, signs. We could talk about, the other kind of things that we've always bring up, but never seem to have a time to do.
To be blunt, we need more than 3 members on the
For
other,
planning?
on a planning commission to show up to be able to have these discussions. And also maybe a director, some kind of, I don't know, so.
Steve, you wanted to add something in?
Yes, the original intent on this meeting had to do with the RCC and the grants and everything that community development has the opportunity to get. And it's a requirement for that of this. And I was talking to a couple people also today, and I think they do suggest at least three meetings a year. So I think we're gonna try to do that again. And my suggestion was since Hunter is very active in that realm of the RCC, have him be the lead on this and invite both groups, and he can set the agenda to talk about the RCC stuff and the communication between the two in the future. So I've already talked about that in-house, so if that helps some of your guys' minds put at ease, then that's the direction I'm looking at after that feedback too. If that helps anything, or any questions on that. Because that's how I thought it was going to be to start with too.
Thanks, Steve.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Clift.
So, I passed around a little something to my fellow board members, that ever since Thursday, I've been real troubled by that whole thing, Thursday. For months, we hear about this joint meeting going on. Nobody can get any clear answers of who's even setting it up, or what it's going to be about, or everything was hush-hush. An agenda shows up the day before, and then we actually get in and get seated. And to me, it felt like it really just felt like a sales pitch. And some of the information I gleaned, or we gleaned from that, I'm gonna call it an informational session. I'm gonna be nice and say it was an informational session, because that's how it should have been expressed. It should have been expressed that way in our backup. It should have been expressed that way on the agenda. And when we were asking several months ahead, when the idea first came to fruition, we should have kind of had an idea then what we were in for. Instead, we walk into what appears to be a phenomenal sales pitch, including color, glossy graphics to boot, from one entity making a giant presentation. So I'm just gonna read into the record kind of my takeaway. I look at this as a governance ethics and procedural integrity of municipal land bank administration and a case study for Warren. Municipal land banks play a critical role in stabilizing neighborhoods, repurposing vacant properties, and supporting long-term development. There's no denial in that. They absolutely do. You can look around different places and see that that does happen when you have an effective land bank strategy and economic development strategy working in tandem. Their effectiveness depends on transparent governance, ethical safeguards, and clear separation of powers. My paper examines best practices for land bank administration, evaluates potential conflicts of interest when elected officials hold leadership roles within land bank structures, and analyzes the recent joint session of Warren ZBA and Planning Commission held on the 22nd of January at the Rec Center cafeteria. This session raised concern about procedural irregularities, zoning inconsistencies, and the appearance of undue influence. The analysis integrates professional experience, community feedback, and Michigan's municipal ethics principles to highlight the need for stronger governance, updated zoning regulations, and clearer ethical boundaries. Land banks are a powerful tool for community revitalization, but they require ethical stewardship, transparent administration, and strict adherence to zoning and planning processes. In Warren, recent events have raised questions whether these standards are being upheld, particularly regarding the role of a sitting city council member serving simultaneously as the leadership chair of the Warren Land Bank. As a longtime resident community advocate and sitting as vice chairman of this Board of Appeals, I've observed growing public concern about the appearance of impropriety within municipal operations. Despite a recent mayoral transition, many residents continue to express skepticism about transparency and ethical conduct. These concerns came to sharp focus during a joint session of the ZBA and the Planning Commission on 22 January, where a private entity delivered a sales-style presentation advocating for zoning overlay districts that are not yet supported by adopted regulation. I've evaluated several of these issues through the lens of best practices, ethics, and procedural integrity, and I just want to share them with everybody. The purpose and function of a land bank is it's a public entity designed to acquire vacant, abandoned, or tax foreclosed properties, clear title, prepare land for redevelopment, support community-driven revitalization, and prevent speculative or predatory acquisition. And this comes from the Centers of Community Progress. It was a paper I had read. Best practices emphasize transparency, accountability, and community benefit. Effective land banks typically maintain independent boards separate from elected officials. They adopt clear conflict of interest policies and ensure public reporting of acquisitions and dispositions, and operate under consistent statutory authority and engage in community-driven planning. I got that from the Michigan Municipal League. Michigan's land bank framework encourages alignment with local master plans, coordination with planning and zoning bodies, avoidance of political influence in property disposition, and compliance with state ethic laws, Public Acts 317 and 318 from the Michigan legislature. That was set back in 1968. Conflicts of interest. Michigan's municipal ethics guidance stresses avoiding both actual and perceived conflicts of interest, ensuring decisions are made without personal or political influence, and maintaining public trust through transparency. That's Michigan Association of Municipal Attorneys. I gleaned that information from an article that was published. City council member serving as chair of a land bank creates a dual loyalty between legislative duties and land bank operations. Influence over zoning and property disposition, perceived favoritism toward developers or private entities, and reduced independence of the land bank board. I'm not saying that that's happening, but the perceptions can clearly be made there. Even if technically permissible, the appearance of impropriety undermines public confidence. And speaking for myself, I think that the city of Warren struggles with some of that public confidence in their leadership. Council members vote on zoning ordinances that directly affect land bank property value, may influence appointments or budgets, and may be perceived by developers as offering political access. Best practices therefore recommend insulating land bank boards from elected officials' direct control. Center for Community Progress. During the joint session of the ZBA and Planning Commission, neither board was informed who requested the meeting. A private entity delivered a sales pitch style presentation, and the city council secretary, who was also the land bank chair, advocated for the proposals. The presentation centered on two proposed overlays districts, the Missing Middle Overlay District and the Van Dyke the Van Dyke Mixed Use District. And we need both. We need both of those. There's no denying that we need something like that in place. I think everybody in our own discussions have agreed that we need something along those lines. The proposals may require multiple concessions from Planning Commission and numerous variances from the ZBA in approval of projects before adopting zoning regulations. This contradicts best practices which require zoning amendments before project approvals, public hearings, and alignment with the master plan, as put forth but with the assistance of the MSU extension. Despite significant investment in Warren's master plan, little progress has been made updating zoning ordinances. Overlay districts were discussed without regulatory foundation, and boards were asked to bridge the gap, in a sense, through variances and concessions. That's what we're in for if we don't update our ordinances to reflect these special districts. And I write in here that this places undue burden on the ZBA and the Planning Commission and risks of inconsistent ad hoc decision-making. In other words, we're not going to work under a uniform guidance of a zoning regulation. We see a lot of this already now where things don't quite fit, so it's up to us to decide whether it does or whether it doesn't, and there's great inconsistencies with the decisions that are being made. As a resident, former city council candidate, I've heard repeated concerns about the lack of transparency, perceived favoritism, ethical inconsistencies, and administrative irregularities. The January 22 meeting, for me, reinforced these perceptions. When elected officials hold dual roles with private entities present without clear authorization, and when the zoning processes are bypassed, the public will lose confidence. Ethical governance requires not only following the law, but avoiding situations that erode trust. So, Mr. Jersey said he wanted to hear some recommendations. Here they are. Separate land bank leadership from elected officials to avoid conflicts. The land bank should be chaired by community development professionals, a planning expert, or a neutral appointee, though thus qualified to perform those duties. Update the zoning ordinances before considering overlay projects. The MMOD and the VDMUD should not advance until zoning text amendments are drafted, public hearings are held, and ordinances are adopted. Improve transparency in joint sessions. Meeting requests should be clearly identified, agendas provided well in advance, and presentations delivered by city staff or even board members, if it warrants it, rather than private entities. The city should adopt stricter conflict of interest rules, require recusal when dual roles intersect, and publish annual ethics disclosures. Municipal governance depends on transparency, ethical conduct, and procedural integrity. Warren's recent joint session highlighted vulnerabilities in all of these areas, particularly regarding land bank leadership, zoning processes, and public trust. The strengthening ethical boundaries, updating zoning regulations, and ensuring independent oversight, we can move forward. We can move toward a more accountable and community-centered future. References Center for Community Progress, Michigan Association of Municipal Attorneys, our own legislature twice from the 60s, and Michigan Municipal League, Land Bank Fast Track Act, PA 258 of 2003 is amended, and the MSU extension. So I guess basically in a nutshell, I think we're putting the cart before the horse and looking at a lot of these things. I feel strongly that we need them. I would just like to see them move forward and be implemented in a manner consistent with what all of my education and experience warrants. And with that, gentlemen and Madam Attorney, I will yield the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Cliff, for those comments.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Green?
if we're all pitching in, I'll be quick. What I got out of that meeting was, it was pretty simple for me, besides the fact of how the meeting was organized, or who was in charge, or who did the presentations, was this payment in lieu of taxes is a big deal, and how that money's figured out. The other thing that came up, it seemed to be a point of emphasis, was there is this back and forth about what's better for the city, rentals or purchase to buy. And that'll go on forever, but I'm on the fence. I still think, and we had a presentation tonight, and that's why I asked her that question, that homeownership, but it protects your tax base. And tax bases protect the services you can offer people. So that was pretty important. And then what I learned from this council meeting last night, through talking to somebody who was at the council meeting, is that this 20% plug-in that they were going to use for this particular project could be used for some other projects. It doesn't have to come back. It can be used anywhere now. Once we approve it, that was my understanding. So that concerns me a little bit. I think there's there's something in place already. The PUD development on 13 and Mound, when that development came up, the variances were, as part of the PUD agreement, were discussed and set up and used for that PUD agreement, and then that was it. They're done. They don't follow anything else. So I'm not sure how that fits into this, but somewhere it does in my mind. But those are the things I got out. It was rental versus homeownership, the importance of a tax base, and who will negotiate the pay in lieu of taxes, and how can we foresee that? It would be very difficult. I was on a DDA before, when we built City Hall, and the bottom dropped out. We had these great plans. And I remember sitting there with, God, who was the guy? Who was the purchasing guy? But anyways, laughing about how low we came in with I'm not a finance guy, but we were like, this will never happen to us. We come in so low that we're always gonna be good. And 5 years later, we weren't good. So I learned that can happen on any of these kind of developments. So that's kind of what I got out of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Watts?
So, from the beginning, when this was presented, probably a month or so ago at council, I voiced my opinion there under audience. I am opposed to rentals. We have too many now, and I'm not opposed to development. I want development. I want good development, and I want the city moving forward. But I don't know how rental is going to help that. And everybody, the buzzwords today is affordability. Nothing's affordable, blah, blah, blah. Houses are selling out there. And, Miss Baker is correct, and she sold the 3 houses, or 2, and one's on the way. That's a plus. And when I asked last week what the price of the rentals was, it was $1,700, but likely it'll be $1,900. Well, in my mind, I'm not sure how you're ever going to get ahead in life if you're paying $2,000 a month for a rental. I just don't see, unless I'm living in a different world, I don't see young people getting over the hump to save money to get into a new home. So I would rather see money go towards down payment assistance or something like that, something to try to help the people. So that's where I'm at on that. And then the other thing, I was at the council meeting last night, I was on the agenda. If I understood correctly, and maybe the city attorney, I don't know if she watched the meeting or not, but it was my understanding that they sent this It was on the agenda, and they sent it back to planning to be written for the overlay district. And then it's got to come back, and of course, it'll come back in a resolution, it's got to be read twice. I don't know how long this is going to take, but that was my take from last night's meeting. So, that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. I just wanted to piggyback on your comment, because I also believe for purchase homes that are better than just rentals, especially such a large number of rentals. But I would love to hear somebody from the city explain to me, so like Miss Baker's homes on Hupp and Packard over there, she's sold the first two, and to my knowledge, the goal is to sell all of those. So how is it that her homes are able to be put up for sale and make money when I believe they're also modular homes the same way, but the other ones have to be rentals? It's like, we need to just have one set of an overlay kind of thing where it levels the playing field amongst all these developers to be able to make that property enticing enough for purchase homes. You know, it's, I can't, but you need to have a city representative that truly is independent from any independent from any corporations or businesses which have motives of why they want certain things. So, that's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Chair, you bring up
Yes, Mr. Safan.
a good point. You know, Ms. Baker is obviously making money at what she's doing, as she should. She's doing a good thing for the city, but the difference is greed. The rentals, like you mentioned, you know, getting $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 a year versus selling a home, you know, I think they go for the mid 200,000s, but obviously Ms. Baker has a lot into the project, so she's still able to, like you said, function and make a reasonable profit, but it's a much better outcome for the residents of Warren. That was my only comment.
So that begs a question, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
if I
Mr.
may.
Clift.
And we don't get into some of the nuances. We heard the variances and things like that, and I don't mind using Ms. Baker's project as an example, but maybe somebody on the board can educate me. Was her project granted some kind of tax abatements or deal or cut to keep costs low? Or, you know, it's a fair question, because this $850 a parcel for this other thing that we were talking about, that kind of flies in the face of people like me who've lived here 20 years, and we're paying upwards of $5,000 a year for property taxes. And, you know, I was just curious if there was a tax abatement, and it looks like Madam Attorney can answer that question for me.
There was, and I believe it was years ago that City Council approved, my mind is escaping me right now, but the area where her parcels are, it was approved for a much larger project that fell through. So there were, for rehabilitations or for new development, there is a tax abatement for, I believe, up to 8 years, and she was approved for that.
That's
Fair
what
enough.
I saw in the Zillow. There's a mention in the Zillow of an 8-year partial tax abatement.
Do you remember the percentage by any chance, Mr. Safaya, just out of curiosity?
I just saw the Zillow listing when I was
Okay.
researching this tonight, but
Yeah,
I can send you the ordinance and what it says
that's
as
fair
far
enough.
as what.
I mean, I can look that up too, just as well, but I work full-time, a lot of things going on, I can't, you know, I struggle to get done what I managed to get done. And that idea and thought just actually popped into my head sitting here discussing some things. But that $800 a parcel thing really stuck out to me as like, I don't know, Gary, you're a pretty fire department oriented. What's an ambulance run to a private residence cost the city these days?
Probably 2,000 or better.
Well, so there you go.
Well, that's billable. That's what would be
I get it,
billable.
but
You know, and you might collect 50%. That's common practice in the business.
the looks of things on the face of things look kind of good depending on what perspective you're looking from, I suppose. I just kind of like to look all the way around, but based on some of the information I've acquired over the years, I think I think there's big problems. The more we expand our rental base, I think there's more problems. And somebody don't want us knowing what the percentage is in this town, because I know people have asked and they've tried to figure it out, and nobody can seem to get a straight answer on what it is. And if it's such a great thing, it seems to me that that should be the first thing anybody's wanting to stand up and show us is, hey, even as just a private resident, how many rentals are in this town? Single family, two-family residences.
29.2%,
Well, and I don't know where you're getting your information from.
right off the website.
Our website?
Yep.
Interesting.
Mr.
Well-
Chair.
But I think it's interesting to note too that when we went to that meeting, it was pretty clear that we're not a part of what's going on. I mean, we're not administratively or legislatively a part of how this is gonna move forward or whether it's not gonna move forward. Everything we're doing is just our opinion, and it goes back to what we talked about a couple meetings ago. I'm just trying to put this in perspective, what's best for the overall citizens in the city, and that's about it. Because we were pretty much, and they're probably right, we probably don't have anything to do with, to really functionally do with this moving forward or not moving forward. Am I
Well,
right, Ms. Attorney, am I right? I mean,
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I think everyone, you guys are the ones that are here reviewing all the petitions and seeing where the problems lie and the repeat requests that you're getting. And I mean, I just want to say that I was brought in on this months and months and months ago for 2 specific parcels. So it was a test run. We're going to see how these go. So no, I mean, I think everyone would welcome everyone's opinions. The more minds and things that maybe weren't thought of, the better. I mean, I believe the city intends on moving forward with this. I mean, not just for this developer, but to create some new standards in this specific area. And it will expound on the district where phase homes are. And forgive me right now because I can't think of the name of the program.
Was it Patriot Place?
Yes, thank you. So, I mean, there is something already there, but, I mean, this is going to impound on it and make it much larger. But, I mean, as far as I know, I believe the city plans on moving forward, but, I mean, I think they wanted to see how these 2 first parcels go before we make any commitments to any developer. So, I mean, if you got the impression that it was full-blown snow blowing moving forward, I don't believe that's the case. I mean, there's negotiations and talks, and, I mean, regardless of whether he stays here and continues with this development, I think this missing overlay, the missing middle it's gonna happen.
Yeah, but it makes you wonder, it's like, exactly, because when, they can approve this without any approval from us, if council votes on it, but it also stays in place with the property permanently unless the council votes it away. So it's not like something that goes in, developers might change, but this overlay district will stay. So it's like, it's a shame because, if you're making it custom made to what helps out one developer, is that going to make those properties in the long run more, more enticing for other developers? That's why I worry, because some kind of overlay is needed, but the thing is they need to have a discussion of what makes those vacant properties, what would make them more attractive for a developer. Because I worry that they're making overlay district, and we're still probably see things come up in that south end, where we should say, what is if we say you can't have more than 35% lot coverage, then are we gonna see somebody coming in asking for 37? Probably not, because of that 20% administrative thing. But the thing is like, what makes that area good for all of these developments? And that's what I don't hear ever discussed.
That's my stance. I think the city needs to do their due diligence and put their zoning ordinances in place accordingly for whatever it is that planning feels is necessary. It shouldn't fall on the backs of a couple of boards to be able to push things through I'll tell you, developers don't like spending money. You want to be attractive to a developer? Make it cheap for him to come here, or her, to come here and do development in the city. Eliminate the red tape and the bureaucracy. Put things a little more in line with national best practices and what other people are doing. And you're gonna find people are seeking you out. You don't have to go find them. They're gonna come to you because they're already looking and they're already researching and they're going through Municode to see what is and what isn't. They're doing it right now. And we're not up to the task as a city to show them that we're viable enough to come here and be able to step in, get things through the planning department done, and not have to mess around waiting weeks or months for special approvals from a board for things that are common sense. I'll call them common sense. And I'm get off my soapbox. I could go on.
Mr. Ross, did you just have a comment, I believe, or?
I did, but I lost my train of thought. But I will say this, while I was on council, I asked numerous times about the rental and what the numbers were, and I could never get the number. Nobody wants to talk about it. And quite honestly, I think it's more than what we know, what they're presenting. And I'll tell you why. I watch social media, and I think about all of the complaints that I got while I was on council. 99% of the complaints I got was dealing with rentals, whether it be crime, blight, houses falling apart, and it's frustrating. It was frustrating then, and it's still frustrating because it's my city, it's our city, and we want our city to stay in good shape and clean and safe. So I'm concerned that where's the 29%? Why are the inspections not more thorough? You know, I'm told that the inspections take 5 to 10 minutes. You can't properly inspect a house in 5 to 10 minutes. And they're only getting inspected every 2 years. I wanted to raise the inspection rate when I was on council, and you couldn't even get any talk about that because it was gonna pass the rate on to the renter. Well, okay, so be it. Everything has a cost of doing business. You want a raise, everybody wants a raise in this world. Guess what? Now they're complaining the prices are going up. What's because you got a raise? You know, look at what happened to the cars. The automakers got big raises, the cars' prices went up. It's the way it goes. And we're taking the brunt of it as a city, in my opinion, to have to deal with this stuff. And it gets really, really old. You know, and I think about, I hadn't said much about this, but I think about the tax break to these people, property tax break. I put money into my house every day. You know, we're always fixing up something. Whether it's painting or your grass or your flower beds or new roofs or furnaces, whatever, you're putting money in your house to keep your home up and make it look good. I don't get no tax break. You know, and you got all these businesses that are getting tax breaks, and you drive by them, and their grass is overgrown, their shrubs are dead. It's ridiculous. So this stuff kind of sticks in my craw. I mean, I want development, and I don't honestly know, having been a lifelong resident of this city, I don't know what you do with the problem that we have with all these vacant lots. We're not like any other city. We have all those small lots from when the sprawl started in the 50s, and now we have to do something with it. I don't know what the fix is, because a lot of places we don't have 2 lots together where you could build one house on the 2 lots. You know, and I certainly don't want any more trucking companies, dollar stores, Coney Islands, or any of that stuff. But we have to have, I mean, I want to see the development, but I would just like to see a little more input into it. And I think I heard the number recently that because I asked a question to somebody, and I want to say we got 500 vacant properties that the city owns. You know, and I mean, I agree what they said last week. If we're paying $2,000 to cut the grass and shovel the snow and whatever else goes along with all the complaints they get on things not being taken care of, getting something out of it is better than nothing, but that's not fair to everybody else that's paying the premium. So I agree with everybody's concerns. I think we're all in the same boat. I don't know. I was disappointed last week. I'll just say this. I was very disappointed that the planning commission's attendance was so poor. It was disturbing. So that's it on that particular item. I'll have another when we're done with this.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. I just wanted to add in, because after that meeting last week, I tried to do some research on the internet to sort of see, like, are there trends of, like, you could see lots of examples of homes or condos or whatever converting into rentals. I couldn't find very much information about rentals being converted into for ownership, because let's be honest, most people that own rental properties like the income coming in from them. As long as the property's creating good income, why would they want to sell it if they're getting good income? So there's not a good way to incentivize rental properties becoming ownership properties, and that's one of the concerns about releasing so many rentals into the city. I think that's what we discussed. I mean, that's all I have.
The one,
Yes,
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Jersey.
so the one thing I thought of is to derail the project, maybe we put some kind of sunset clause on this as a board where, could build like crazy for 2-3 years, see how many they get, then do a study based off of what they build for the next year, 2 years, and see what transpires as far as how many of those rentals they actually do sell and make ownership, because I think they did actually say that they were in favor of possibly making these home ownerships, but they weren't very optimistic that they would become them, based off the trends and all the facts that they gave. So that's one thing that I recommended, and then see if it actually works out. Do the study based off the 2 initial ones. Tell them, okay, give them, carte blanche to go nuts for 2 years, building whatever they could get built, see how those develop, or if they don't develop, into ownership, and then just go from there. Then, maybe grant them another 25 the next year, but to have some investor come in and operate with impunity, with no guardrails to purchase up as much as they want, I think is a dangerous precedent to send, and a dangerous message to send out to other investors as well. So that's my thought on it. That way, at least they're kind of somewhat boxed in to a certain degree, but not derailing the project completely. And just kind of use this as more of a test run to see how it materializes. So.
The only problem is like, as we always discuss, we've never, any variances that we actually give stay with the property and forever, basically. And an overlay district that's voted in by council will stay there until council votes it out. And you wouldn't be able to put a sunset clause on it because they'd have to vote it out. And I can imagine voting something out is a lot harder than voting something in.
Well, my thing is, if the city administration wants something like this, then I think the onus is on them to put whatever needs to be put into place regulatory-wise in order for it to make it happen. That's just, to me, it feels like a cop-out when the city administration doesn't want to create these things, and I'm not saying that they maybe don't want to, but it's just taken an awful long time to get movement on certain. If they wanted it so bad, then you shouldn't have to be selling it to us. You should have to be selling it to council and those people that are responsible for enacting the drafting and enacting the zoning ordinances. And I refuse to believe that it's ultra difficult to do that. I know they've had some challenges. They expressed that in the meeting, and I was thankful for them being honest about that. But at the end of the day, if they think it's such a grand and great idea, let them put the policies in place and the regulations and the zoning in place to afford it to happen without having to get approval from a board. we shouldn't be seeing half of what we're seeing already, and I'm just beating on a dead horse, but I just don't think it's proper. If the administration thinks it's a great idea, sell it to the rest of your administration and make it ordinance, and then what's gonna happen is gonna happen. And I don't have to struggle with it sitting up here at night wondering what's gonna happen 10, 15 years down the road, 5 years down the road, if we have to hear it and grant 8 or 10 variances on each parcel in order for something to happen. That's not what the zoning board of appeals, that's not what our function should actually be. And we've been growing over the past few years, and we've been changing the way things go. Old habits, I guess, are kind of hard to break, but we're moving in a different direction as an entity and as a board, and I'm thankful for that. Because I remember the time coming in here, sitting down, and nobody asked a thing. Somebody said something else, it was a roll call, and you walked out the door with what you came in here wanting. So I thank my fellow board members for progressing as they have. I just think that I really don't want to hear these kind of things. Create your overlay districts, put your zoning ordinances in place to support whatever the city thinks is best to put on them, and move on down the road with it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr.
my train
Rice.
of thought has returned. So go back to the Baker and Associates. This started when I was on council, and I've kind of followed the whole program through, and I've seen her recall that she was seeking state funds through the governor's office to also help out with this project, so that may make more sense. I don't know what those numbers are, but I know she was seeking that, so that's pretty much it. If I may, I want to ask one more question of the city attorney. Put you to work.
Okay.
This thing with this impact statements, not getting to us in a proper time, what can we do as the ZBA to get this straightened out?
I did want to mention this, and I was going to let it go tonight, but I mean, our ordinances state that planning director has absolutely no responsibility to send you guys anything. He may.
Okay.
If he believes it's necessary for you to make a decision. But, I mean, the ordinance says, a copy of the application for variance shall be forwarded to the planning director for review. The planning director may provide a written impact statement to the board prior to the public hearing. Section 20.29.
Okay, I mean, it's easy for me. If they don't want to play, so to speak, it's easy to just postpone stuff or table. I don't think it's right, and it's discouraging.
If I can just say something, and maybe some of you can disagree, but I feel like when I first started as the attorney assigned to this board, you guys didn't get impact statements for anything.
We didn't get as many impact statements, I agree with you, Ms. Pearson. We didn't get, blight reports too. Like, we didn't get tickets or what's on said properties. We fought to get that added into our packets as well. So, yes, I'll concur with that statement.
I mean, I'm not defending anyone, but I mean, if there's a challenging variance request for, I don't know, I think that's where the joint meeting is going to come in handy, so you guys can say, hey, these are our expectations, this is what we would like to see, and planning can say, well, we can't do that, or we can do that. That's where this joint meeting, and that's what I would like to see happen at the next joint meeting.
That's a great point. The problem is, it's like the last meeting, I think it was the last one, is I do my due diligence. I did it when I was on council, for every item that needed to be looked at. If it was a tear down on a house, whatever it was, any kind of property, rezoning, I went and looked at it. I talked to people in the neighborhood. And when we get stuff here, I go drive and I take a peek at it. And when I find an impact statement that's different than what I'm finding when I'm out there, that's very disturbing. And I get it at the last minute. That's a problem. Guys can call me crazy, but I don't find it right that we have to deal with that. So maybe I agree, maybe the dual meetings, we can hash it out and get it done. So You answered my question, appreciate it.
Yes, Steve. Oh, sorry.
The processing of the packet happens, and the packet goes to council office and to planning the same day. Sometimes council office turns it around in a day or two to get you that packet, and they're just getting it and not able to have it for the packet at least. I know, being a former chair and ZBA member, I didn't see many. I think I saw 2 or 3, and they were usually on big projects that were already going through the planning department. We didn't get it for anything that wasn't going through planning commission approval. And those were the only things we saw back in the day. So, just to give you some historical insight.
Thank you, Steve. Any other comments for today?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:41.